Our first review of the day is going to be for the film The Running Man there. The Running Man is the second adaptation of the Stephen King novel that came out in 1982 there. The first one adaptation of this was in 1987 with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But this time it is with Glen Powell there and directed by Edgar Wright. People might know Edgar Wright from such things as Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott
Mhm.
Pilgrim. He also did most recently his movie before this one was Last Night in Soho, which we reviewed, which I thought was okay. I thought it was all right. I think the ending kind of ruins things there, but it was a little bit of a departure from normally I think what Edgar Wright has done. And even this movie I think is we'll discuss it in our review there. I think this is a little bit of a departure normally with comes with normal Edgar Wright movies there. But yes, what is the premise here of The Running Man? Well, you have a guy, Glen Powell there. People might know he was in that movie, The Expendables. He was in. He was also in Hitman. He was in that movie as well. Top Gun Maverick was a big one, and he plays a character named Ben Richards. Ben Richards, he lives in this dystopian, authoritarian world there, where the divide between the poor and the rich is incredibly huge. You know, you got these people on the top, you got everybody else that's on the bottom, and also he's an angry motherfucker,
Mhm.
angry guy. I mean, he is just walking around angry there, and what makes him even angrier is that he's got a sick kid and he's got a wife who's working triple, shifts at her job there to support them because he always gets fired from his jobs because he's always insubordinate. He's always getting fired there left and right. There's even a montage of like all the different jobs that he has there. So yeah, and he decides to enter the competition there. He's like, maybe I go on one of these game shows here and win some money so I can afford medicine for my sick child who's about to die there. And that's when he gets roped into doing the Running Man, which is this competition to see who can survive being hunted by people there. And if you end up surviving for 30 days, you can win $1 billion of new cash, is what they.
Mhm.
So it's just basically how will he survive there? Will he survive? And with all these people hunting him along the way, and he even meets some kind of crazy characters in this world. And this is a little bit different. People only know of this Running Man from the 1987 film here. From my understanding, I want to get your input on this, having a person who's
Mhm.
read the book, and if you still remember anything from it. This, from what I understand, sticks more closely to the book.
In some
And
ways.
okay, it's a little bit. I heard it's a little bit more closer to actually what the
It's
book is.
closer, but it also changes some stuff too.
Gotcha. And a big thing about this movie also, it's like it's not only the people that are hunting him, you have these assigned hunters, as they call them, but
Yeah.
also everybody in this city, which they're in, of course, they're in Boston, in Maine, which obviously is the place where Stephen King was born in Maine there. But they also are in it too. So if people you have not only the hunters to deal with, but everyone else who can rat you out, and they get a big payment from that as well. So there's a big incentive for those people, just everyday citizens, to also do that, to join in on it as well. But yeah, whereas in the 1987 version, it was more of a contained area in which these people were forced to kind of compete. Uh, Dusk, what are your
Mhm.
thoughts, Running Man?
Um, I never actually thought that Edgar Wright would make this kind of a movie. I didn't think that he would make The Running Man, because The Running Man is very much a dystopian novel. It doesn't have a lot of it has some humor in it. At one point in the book, Ben basically disguises himself as a half-blind priest to get past a checkpoint. He does a lot of different small disguises here and there. He does a few things. Most of it is just him in different spots trying to get past state lines to keep it going, to keep his time going. Right from the very beginning in the novel, and even in the movie, they make it very clear you don't have no one's lasted this long or very long in the game. They make it maybe a little bit, but then eventually someone is hunted down. Because I mean, ultimately, you're being hunted down by trained hunters, which that's their one job to do, and they're also being looked out by other people to try and get a cash prize of their own. And so then adding Edgar Wright into the mix here, you then have this more energetic tone when you have a very should be kind of more of a dystopian, darker tone, but they really ratchet up the comedic elements in this. This very much feels more comedic and over the top, and in some ways that would be great, but I feel like it loses something in the story by doing it. There's which is interesting because in the original movie version, the 1987 version with Arnold Schwarzenegger, uh, Running Man is basically in name only, and Killian and Benjamin. After that, pretty much a lot of it is just thrown out the window to do a different premise. But the dystopian elements, at least in the 87 version, were kind of taken seriously. They're like, yeah, this isn't a great place. This kind of sucks. This is very corrupt and it's bad. And the gaming network has way more power than it roughly should, because the American government in the novel and in this, and even in the original one, you get the feeling that this one they spell it out, but in the previous movie, they make a mention of, oh yeah, that there's still a presidency, but for all intents and purposes, like it's like network television and the presidency and a government have been combined, and it's just
Mm,
become one big propaganda piece. And to keep people kind of sort of in line, they have this game network and the promise of money. And
mm,
yeah, with this, it's still that's kind of there. That's all elements there. You see him in the trailers, him and his wife and his kid, and he enters in it to help them both out, specifically for his daughter who is suffering from a disease. And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to try to survive as long as possible, and hopefully get the grand prize of $1 billion, which will set them for life."
mm.
And
Yeah.
then just kind of the action kind of ensues, and I kind of wish it was taken a little bit more seriously. As fun as it was, I actually think there were some of the action scenes are fun in this, but it did feel like a tonal whiplash sometimes.
Mm. Interesting, because I kind of feel the exact opposite with you,
Really.
especially comparing to both the movies, having now seen the
Mhm.
1987 version, before seeing this one. I think the 1987 version is a little bit more kind of treated as like a satire, comedic,
Mm.
and with this one, I think there are comedic moments in it for sure,
Mhm.
especially when you meet Michael Cera when he kinda comes into
Oh,
play.
yeah.
But then it feels like when that kinda comes in, it feels like it clashes with the rest of the movie, because the rest of the movie feels so straightforward
Mm.
in this type of story of this type of world, and then you have other things that kinda come in here of like, okay, I can tell some of the parts where it feels like, okay, that's kinda classic Edgar Wright type
Yeah,
stuff.
you can feel when Edgar Wright's hands enters into this.
And there were 2 other, there was
Mm.
another writer on this as well there. And it feels like, okay, there's parts where he kinda comes in where it feels like, okay, that's classic Edgar Wright from which you know from seeing stuff like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the
Mhm.
Dead, but then it just feels kinda straightforward, and that kind of, me walking out of the movie, I was kinda like, "Well, that was kind of a little disappointing," I think, especially coming from, Edgar Wright there, and it makes me kinda think that, looking at the rest of his filmography, it's like I haven't really loved an Edgar Wright movie since Scott Pilgrim, and that was like 15 years
Dang,
ago.
really?
Yeah, because like Last Night in Soho, I think we did a I remember we
Yeah,
did a
Last
review.
Night Soho. What about Baby Driver?
I just
Y
kind of was male on Baby
Yeah,
Driver. I
I kinda
wasn't.
liked the first half of Baby Driver, and then the in once the heist, the final heist happens, it kinda went, "Oh, okay." It kinda started going down, but up to that point, I was really enjoying it.
Yeah. And, this, it's like, you got Glen Powell in it, who's Glen Powell, he's the hot new thing right now. And I think he does a decent job there in the role he's given. Even it's kind of generic. I mean, he's kind of action man,
Yeah.
he's kind of action dude there. And he's almost like even seeing him because like there's like a montage of all these different jobs he's worked out. He's like it almost feels like he's an action figure,
Mhm.
where you just model him up and all this, put him in all these different costumes and hey, he loves to play dress up. He loves to play dress up there. If you watch Hitman or something like that, like seeing him,
Mhm.
like you mentioned him as a priest and stuff like that, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I felt like there wasn't really much there. It's like what's driving him is like, okay, my family, my family, my family, which okay, that simple kind of thing can work, but I was
Yeah.
like, okay, it's kind of all that's there really, and it's like okay. And then the supporting people in it, like Coleman Domingo, I think is fantastic as the host, as the person who's doing the show. I think he, because he gets to be
Yes,
larger than life.
Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby T.
Bobby
So
T.
he gets to be larger than life and kind of play it up there, which I think I was looking for maybe more of that. And then, like, the
Mhm.
element of, like, where Glen Powell, because he meets all these kinda different revolutionary type figures throughout the
Mhm.
movie, and then there's another character that comes in here who, he's like a YouTuber or streamer who does these
Yeah.
videos about the Running Man and about all the lies and tries to expose the Running Man there, and that actor's name is, Daniel, Ezra, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
That segment felt more like a Boots Riley movie a little bit, like, with his kinda character because
He
he
is,
has to.
completely made up. He's not in the book.
Okay, interesting, because that
Not
yeah,
that I
that
can
felt
recall. Again, it's been a hot minute since I've read the book, but I don't remember a Bradley,
mm,
YouTuber
yeah,
guy. I didn't remember him, like, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this whole thing is definitely added in." You can feel it because of the YouTube. Remember when he wrote this book originally, the amount of money wasn't even disclosed. The grand prize, it was disclosed, it was just called the grand prize in the book. It
mm,
was never given a monetary number because it was just, "You're never gonna get there." It was a
mm,
lot more bleak. The tone in the book is far bleaker than even this movie details. Like,
mm,
there's some elements. There's a lot of this movie that is played straight. I'll agree with you on that. But then it gets tonally upset by the Edgar Wright moments that try to like add some levity and add some Edgar Wrightness into it. And you go,
mm,
yeah, you're kind of clashing with the tones here. I don't know what you're kind of doing with those moments. You're doing fine playing like a straight laced version of this. It's not as gritty as I was hoping. A lot of it, a lot of in the book would have been very, very difficult to do in a movie like this. So when they deviate from it, which they do eventually pretty easily deviate quite early on, and then they bounce back to the book and then they deviate again. And once we get to the ending, it super deviates. But it
mm,
kind of goes with I'm surprised they even bothered because they keep saying, "Oh, we're gonna play this closer to the chest, closer to the book." You're like, okay, so in the original one, you did like 5% of the book is in the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like five because it's
mm,
basically the names and the premise,
yeah. Yeah,
and then
watching
in
that
this,
movie,
yeah,
it just seems like a vehicle just for Arnold Schwarzenegger,
yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah, very much so. It very much is a vehicle for Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it ended up becoming a classic of its own just because of the people in it and the production and the actor who played Killian. Uh, like, there's just so many memorable lines in that movie, and it's a memorable movie even if it doesn't follow the book. It's so different from the book, you can kind of divorce it from it. So you're like, okay, cool. This one, elements of the book are there, but it's also not pushed as far. I would have actually more preferred a serious take on the book and it be like a mini series, like a three-parter mini series, and just be done, or even a two-parter
mm,
and just kind of be done. Because ultimately, a lot of it is true. A lot of the book, and in this, he's just bouncing from place to place and going through disguise to disguise to get past and not get like shot up and killed.
mm,
If I remember correctly, in this movie, it's the full 30 days. He needs to make it a month, and then he gets the grand prize, which just never happened.
yeah,
In the book, I think there was no if I can't recall the definitive end date, but I know it was unheard of by the time he gets there, and he's lasted in the book, I think 197 hours.
mm,
That's the longest anyone's ever made it.
yeah,
So, like, days wasn't even, like, considered. You last maybe, like, a few days, maybe.
yeah, because a month is a long time, so
Oh,
that
it
is a long
is. Oh, yeah, a month is a long time, especially when it be hunted every second of every day, and you're being
yeah,
tracked. And in the no and then just like in this, just like in the novel, he has to send a videotape of himself twice every day, or so he can get the money going, keep the money going.
mm, yeah,
So, yeah, it's
um
just yeah, go ahead.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is a long time there, and like they say, I mean, this guy, is supposed to be very poor, destitute, lowest of the low. But they make sure to show off, like obviously he ain't missing the gym.
No,
He's got enough money
Ben
to meal.
Richards.
Yeah, he got enough money to meal prep. For sure, because you don't
He
look
got it
like
for
that.
days. He's a construction worker. That's how they get big, right?
Yeah, construction worker. I mean, they show all the different jobs. He worked on like some type of rig or something. So
Yeah.
he did all these type of different jobs. So yeah, which I get that they're setting that up because it's okay. You need a guy who is in that type of shape because in the movie they show Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's like a military guy. I don't know if it's the same in the book. He's supposed to be a military figure there as well, but you have to give some reason why maybe a guy would last that long. He has to be in maybe top physical shape to give it more plausible believability there that he can survive this long. Um, how did you like Glen Powell in this? Do you think he performed well, or you think?
I think he did fine with the material he's given. I think honestly, he did all right. There are moments when he's playing it straight, and I'm like, okay, all right. As a more down to earth Ben Richards, he's doing not bad. I'm like, okay. And then he does like the weird. Then he starts like really going the Edgar Wright of like I'm going for it. He starts like flipping the bird and doing a bunch of crazy shit and like going kind of ridiculous stuff. Then I'm like, okay, all right, go for it, man.
Mm,
It this movie, I want to like it more than I do, unfortunately. Like I like there are elements I like in this movie quite a bit, but I keep feeling like there are the Edgar Wright elements that I usually love. I actually usually love his movies. Only like the last one that I would say I didn't really like particularly was Last Night in Soho. Like I
mm,
wasn't the biggest. That was the one I'm like, yeah, I didn't really like this, which was a surprise because most of his movies up to that point I'd liked or at least enjoyed to a certain to at least a major degree, even if some of them maybe fall apart or one. And Baby Driver kind of falls apart near the ending, but I still
yeah.
enjoyed Baby Driver for what it was.
Mm,
This it kind of feels like a weird mix. Like you feel like it felt like a Edgar Wright movie that snuck into a script about a different subject, and then you have those moments come in. But then you'll have the moments of the extreme ridiculousness that does work with the game show elements. Like those stuff did work. I thought was campy and kind of ridiculous, and it fits in a more tone you're going to go for. But then you also wanted me to take me seriously. This guy going around and surviving for like 30 days, and the tone is just like, okay, what are you going for here?
mm, yeah. So nowhere in the book does it have like a satire kind of edge
The
to it.
satirical edge does come from the gaming network aspect of it, and its satirical nature is downplayed. It's
Mm,
not that it's not there. It's just more it's just it's more face value satire where here's this network and it makes fun of broadcast television, but it's very grim. That's most of the satire. There's a couple elements where Ben dresses up in different ways and has to get through things and he has comments with different characters. That is satire here and there, but for the most part, it's kind of treated as a proper dystopian novel
mm,
with the satire being the nature of the game show, and that's what gives it its levity, or at least its lightness, until you get to the ending, and then he doesn't he goes all in on the darker tone.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I was hearing about the ending from somebody who is familiar with the book to a
It's
degree.
very different.
Yeah.
Well, similar premise of what happens, but very different
Yeah.
compared to the original novel ending.
Yeah. And also this movie with the other kind of cast of characters feels kind of like a waste to some people. Like there's a main hunter, I won't spoil who it is. Feels like kind of a waste of them, given a little bit of their pedigree as an actor. And then you also
I
have
mean,
like
the main hunter, Evan McCone.
no, not him.
Not him?
The one with the mask.
How yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's actually he's probably one of the more fun parts in this.
Yeah. And when they do the reveal of who it is, I feel like it's a little bit of a waste of maybe that actor. And then also you have like Katie O'Brien who's in this, who she's popping up in a lot of like different supporting roles. She was in another movie I'm about to talk about, Christy. She was in that. She pops up. She was in Love Lies Bleeding.
She is a blink or miss it in this.
Yeah, like you think that because he starts off with a group of people and you think like maybe they're gonna be with him through maybe most of they're gonna be like helping each other out, like kind of like The Long Walk, which is another kind of Stephen King kind of thing. I was like, oh,
Yes.
are they gonna really like kind of partner up, maybe help each other out? Like, no, they kind of just separate and they get picked off pretty easily. So it's like, just pop back into the story to go like, oh, this motherfucker dead. Like, okay, back to Ben Richards now. Um, so it seemed like kind of waste of those kind of people in it. Um, but like I said, I did enjoy Coleman Domingo in it. I did enjoy Josh Brolin. I think is pretty good in here. I mean, he plays evil corporate guy pretty well. He knows how to do that. Pretty fine. You also got some fun other stuff like William H. Macy comes in for a little bit. Michael Cera, you mentioned him. He has a fun bit in this movie. Probably the most like that sequence with him feels very much out of like Hot Fuzz, like or Shaun of the
Yes,
Dead.
very much
That
so.
feels very much like something out of that, which is maybe what I was expecting more from with this. I was like maybe playing with kind of a little bit of that more with that. Um yeah, so I just think it's just fine for me there. Do you have any final thoughts rating on this?
Nah, not really. I'm not too upset. I didn't think they were gonna go with the full, book premise, especially from the trailers early on. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think they're going with that." So, I kinda went into this with the idea of it's just gonna be its own thing with maybe some elements from the book, and that's kinda what I got. Uh, I wish it was a little more coherent. I wish its tone was a bit more coherent, but the movie's not. It's fine. It's It could have been better, but for what it is, and I guess the tone they were going for, it's fine enough. But for those who are really interested in the book or really wanted to see maybe a bit more of a serious portrayal from the book, you're just not going to get that.
Hmm. What will be your rating?
Uh, it's all right. I kind of would give it I give it a stream it.
Okay, just to stream it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about where I am as well. Stream it. Maybe a little higher, maybe than you on the stream it, but
Yeah.
yeah, probably maybe a stream it there with me. For the things I mentioned before,
Mhm.
with it there, and the clashing of the tones, kind of. Yeah, I mean, and I think
Mhm.
hammer like if you did more of a satire, it would make the social commentary more digestible
Mhm.
and not so on the nose and not so kind of like, okay, we got a, generic kind of, political commentary type speeches there that are in the movie. It would make it a little bit better, I think, if you had those things in it. It'd make it more kind of enjoyable for the audience or
Yeah, I think
digestible for the
it would
audience.
definitely help.
But yeah, and I think it's just kind of like your straightforward dystopian sci-fi type movie there. If this didn't have the Running Man on it and it had some other title, it'd be like, okay, this would be like another YA type movie, really.
Yeah, very much so.
And comparing, bringing up The Long Walk, I think was much better in terms of developing its characters.
Mm.
It's another movie set in a dystopian type world there. And I think where that one works better is that, first of all, the concept of like this long walk is makes for like this horrific kind of idea of these characters going on this thing of like all the things that
Mhm.
can happen to you while you're doing this and your body. Plus the camaraderie with the
Yeah.
people there in this movie, even if the characters are maybe somewhat generic. I think the performances and that kind of elevated, and I don't think the same can
Yeah,
be said
there are
about
elements
Running.
in that wasn't translated from the book to the movie just like this, but they were closer at least. Um, Aside from the casting changes and some other things. But they at least got they got the tone and understanding of what you're going through is horrific. There ain't nothing fun about this.
Yeah. And there's another character that comes in towards the end that I mean, I don't think that just and the movie's also, I think, kind of a little too long. I think if you
Mm.
trimmed off some time on it, as well, because this movie's over 2 hours,
Yeah,
2 hours and 15. You feel that length, I think.
yeah. I definitely see you on that.
Yeah, which was also another problem for me. Um, so yeah, but the other character that comes in towards the end of the movie, they feel so pointless, really. I feel like, it's kind of, I mean, it's something extra tacked on. I was like, yeah, you could have maybe left this. So, two streamits for the Running Man there.
Mhm.